The wind carried the sound of the prairie, hollow, endless, and lonely. The kind of wind that whispers through the night like it remembers everything you're trying to forget. Clara stood on the porch, both hands clutching the lantern so tightly that her knuckles had turned white. The glass flickered with every breath of wind, the light swaying like her heartbeat, fast, uneven, desperate. He'd said he'd come back before midnight, and midnight had passed hours ago. The world beyond the fence was nothing but darkness now. No moon, no sound of hooves, just the lonely hum of crickets and the far-off echo of thunder rolling behind the mountains. She told herself not to worry. He'd been late before. Sometimes the trail got rough. Sometimes the river rose high. But deep down, something in her chest twisted tighter with each passing minute. Her husband, Luke Carter, wasn't like the others in town. He was quieter, steadier, the kind of man who didn't talk much but meant every word when he did. And the night he left for that dangerous ride to the next town, he'd kissed her forehead and whispered, "Keep that light burning, sweetheart. It'll guide me home." Now she stood here, praying that was true. Every gust of wind felt colder, sharper. The dog at her feet whimpered, ears twitching toward the horizon. Clara knelt and stroked his head, whispering, "He'll come." He promised, but her voice cracked on that last word. Behind her, the cabin glowed faintly. The supper gone cold on the table, the clock ticking too loud in the quiet. Every second that passed made the silence heavier. She whispered a prayer, half to God, half to the wind. "Please, bring him back." Out there somewhere beyond the hills and rivers, Luke was fighting his own battle. The storm had caught him on the trail. Rain poured like bullets, turning the road into a river of mud. His horse stumbled, his body ached, but he kept going, because he'd made her a promise, and Luke Carter had never broken one. By the time the rain stopped, the world was soaked in silver. He could barely see the stars through the clouds, but one small light glimmered faintly in the distance, her lantern, flickering, steady, like a heartbeat against the dark. Back on the porch, Clara wiped her tears and tried to keep the flame alive. Her fingers trembled as she shielded the glass from the wind. She whispered again, "Don't go out now. Not yet." Then, she heard it, a faint sound, like thunder. No, like hooves. Slow at first, then faster. Her breath caught. She stepped forward, heart pounding. "Luke?" The dog barked once, sharp and sure. Through the darkness, a silhouette appeared. A horse, rider slumped forward, moving unsteadily up the dirt road. Clara ran down the steps, lantern swinging wildly, the light cutting through the mist until she could see him. He looked half dead, soaked to the bone, mud caked to his boots, blood dried on his sleeve. But when their eyes met, he smiled. "Told you I'd come back," he said, his voice hoarse but alive. Clara dropped the lantern and threw her arms around him, tears and rain mixing on her cheeks. She didn't care about the mud, the blood, or the storm still whispering over the horizon. All she cared about was the warmth of his chest, the steady thump of his heart beneath her hands. "I thought I lost you," she whispered. "You almost did," he said, breathless. "But every time I thought I couldn't make it, I saw that light." She looked back at the porch, where the lantern still burned faintly, resting sideways in the dirt. Its flame danced, stubborn and bright. He reached out, brushing her wet hair from her face. "You kept it burning," she nodded. "Like you asked me to," he smiled weakly. "Guess that's what saved me." They stood there in the rain until the first rays of dawn broke over the prairie, painting the sky with gold and rose. The storm had passed, and the world smelled of earth and second chances. Later, when the sun climbed higher, Clara placed the lantern on the porch railing. It was cracked and smoky, but the flame still burned, steady and strong. Luke sat beside her, his arm around her shoulders, eyes half closed with exhaustion. She leaned against him, finally breathing easy. He looked at her and whispered, "You prayed, didn't you?" She smiled. "Every minute you were gone. And it worked," he said softly. "Guess the good Lord listens to women who wait with light in their hands." She laughed quietly, her fingers tracing the edge of the lantern. "Then I'll keep it ready, in case you ever ride out again." He kissed her forehead gently. "If I do, I'll always find my way home." The prairie stretched endless beyond them. The wind calm, the world finally at peace. And there, on that quiet porch, the lantern burned, a small, defiant star against the Wild West night, proof that love can outlast even the darkest storms.